What's up, everybody? You're tuned into You Feel Me. I'm your host, Lee Shaner, and I'm sitting with Topaz Jones. You live out here? Is that why you're in town?
Brooklyn, yeah.
Are you from New York, or where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
From New Jersey?
Yeah.
What part of New Jersey?
Like North Jersey, Essex County.
I'm going to pretend like I know anything about Jersey.
Montclair, New Jersey.
Usually, like, if I'm at the bar or something, people are like, oh, I'm from Jersey. I'm like, oh, my family's from Pennsylvania, you know, and that's like as close as I get. I used to go to the shore as a kid and shit, though. Did you ever go to the shore as a kid?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was at the shore like a couple weeks ago.
How is it?
It's all right.
Is it different than it was?
I didn't actually go into the water. I just kind of walked the boardwalk with my family because they just wanted to do it. And
get a little saltwater taffy or something?
Yeah, you got a temporary tattoo.
Really? Temporary? You don't have any tattoos? You're very barren,
I don't.
huh?
Not on purpose.
Really?
I just haven't found anything that I don't think I'm going to regret in like 10 years.
That's the whole thing, is like, people talk about regretting tattoos. I'm covered in like mediocre tattoos. Well, but
when you have that many of them, then it
stops mattering. You just it's more of like an aesthetic than actually like I'm never gonna be like, look at the quality of this tattoo. It's just like, oh yeah, his arm has a bunch.
I like the ape one.
Yeah, thanks, man. People are like, oh, is that Harambe? I say, fuck you. Like, no, I had this before Harambe, man.
Yeah, I guess you just got to dive in the pool.
Exactly. Well, but that's the thing, is like, once you get one, you can end up with a gazillion. So
it's addictive.
Like, it's very, you gotta be careful. Anyway, Jersey, what was childhood like? What were you doing growing up?
I was playing sports, watching Like Mike, thinking that was gonna be my life, and I was gonna find like the magical pair of shoes.
Were you tall early on already?
I was always like in the top 10th percentile of height, and my doctor told my parents that I was gonna be 6'3". I'm 6'4".
Ooh.
And
you showed him.
Yeah, I showed him. But every inch until I got to 6'3", I was like, why am I not 6'3" yet? I was like thinking basketball was my path, but then also at the same time I was always like really into music. My dad's a musician.
Really?
A lot of like the family was involved in music in some way or another, so it's a lot of like cookouts, a lot of the family coming over. Like my crib was like the family hangout spot, so we would have like when it was Thanksgiving or 4th of July, like everybody would come over, we'd put the music on, you know.
So you had a big familial unit in Jersey?
Yeah, at least during the 90s, definitely.
Yeah. Are you guys have generations in Jersey?
Like two.
Yeah. So
like my grandparents moved to Jersey from Pennsylvania, actually.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. What brought them out to New Jersey? Do you know?
Just like more opportunity, more work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so your parents are both born and raised in Jersey as well?
No, my mom's actually from, I'm messing this whole thing up.
Yeah,
my mom's from New York. My mom is from like Queens and Brooklyn.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah. How'd your folks meet?
I had an album release party.
No shit. Yeah. So it's like really in the blood, the music.
Yeah.
Like you were sparkle in the eye at an album release party. Do you know what album release party it was?
I have no idea. It was probably one of my dad's albums.
Okay, so what kind of music did your dad make?
He made like funk music.
Oh, that's
he's
dope.
Still making music now, but in like the 70s and 80s, he was in a couple funk bands. He was like on Soul Train and all that.
No
stuff.
kidding.
Yeah.
Big bands or what?
Semi like they
like. Should you shout them out? Is what I'm asking.
Shout out Slave. Shout out Aura and Deja. I gotta put that out there.
There you go. Yeah, go find them on Spotify. You know, get them streaming plays. We get a little extra Christmas presents this year.
Yeah.
You know?
They've been like sampled by people and stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, was he still a traveling musician?
When I was growing up, he was kind of like he had like a band that he was like more like a contributing partner of, and then a band that he was like the leader of that had broken up. And right when I was born was when he was like going into that transition of being more of a solo artist and doing his own thing. And he was also very kind of kind of disillusioned with the major label system,
like the industry.
And, he had kind of seen the ups and downs. So I really just like learned from watching him, like producing himself and producing other people. He had a home studio, and you know, in the 90s, like it wasn't as many like bedroom studios, but he was like really like doing it, you know, from the crib. So,
that's so interesting because listening to your music, I'm like, this is pretty funky first and foremost, but also it sounds kind of like bigger than a lot of rap that you would hear nowadays. Like it's a lot more live instrumentation. Like you could tell that there were. It is big production value. It's not just like a sample with some drums over it. You know what I'm saying? Which don't get me wrong, I'm not talking shit about samples with drums because that's my shit. Same. But like your music sounds like it's played by a band. Does that come from your father's influence, you think?
Definitely. I mean, it comes from a lot of the artists I looked up to growing up as well. But definitely watching him like make a record, I knew kind of what went into making a record way before I was making records. So I had a different perspective, I think.
And so what is he cooking in the lab at home? Is he singing, playing all the instruments, doing everything, or is he hiring people to come in?
He was, he was like working on an MPC. He had, his keys. He's mainly a guitar player, super ridiculous guitar player. He's like Jimi Hendrix level, just like crazy shredder. So he would be doing a lot of that, and like just his dedication to the craft. Like to this day, like he's probably spends like 6 hours a day on the guitar.
Wow.
And he like works another job too. So it's like I'll call him. He lives in Texas now, and I'll call him. We'll be on the phone, and I won't know at first, and then like about 30 seconds in, I'll just like hear a couple licks in the background. He's like talking to me while he's like just shredding on the guitar.
That's sick.
But it's like it's that dedication, it's that pursuit of perfection in the craft that I think really rubbed off on me in like a different way.
Do you spend 6 hours a day rapping?
No, but at one point I spent a lot of time a day. There was like when I was first getting into high school, there were all these other rappers, and I was trying to prove myself. And this one kid like really viciously beat me in a rap battle because he was really good at freestyling, and I was like using like written raps. And the difference is it's really clear when you see it happen live. So that killed me, and then I spent that next summer just like I wake up in the morning and just like freestyle for like an hour.
It's funny how that's flipped though, because back like 90s 2000s, it's like if you weren't freestyling in a battle, people would call you, oh, he's using written raps. And now it's flipped where it's like, nah, you just gotta write and like be the better writer. You know what I'm saying? The battle industry, the battle community has changed so much.
Definitely.
But that said, how old were you when you started doing these like rap battles and like trying to be the best at your school and stuff like that?
I mean, I started rapping sometime in elementary school, like 3rd, 4th grade.
Oh wow.
But that was just like if we had like class projects, like I would hate doing my homework. So if I could take it and make it
turn it into
music, like then that's all I need. So I would just like, I did like a rap about like some kind of like history project. I did like a science rap one time, and that's kind of where it started at. And then I had also been like writing like little R&B joints, kind of just like mimicking my dad too. And just like from there, I think in middle school is when I started to actually like write down my raps and really take it seriously.
Wow. You saw my face light up when you said turning projects into raps, because
you did that too.
From the jump. Hey, in 7th grade we had a social studies class. Shout out Mr. Dubowski. He would let us do whatever, and so I would like turn every project. Like, it would be like I would just flip Snoop Dogg raps into like something about pollution or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I write raps about like, oh, don't smoke, and same thing. Like you just got it in your blood at a young age if you do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But basketball as well. Were you like on traveling teams and stuff?
I was not good.
You weren't good.
I was just tall.
You were just tall. That's
so
it.
It was like they would put me in as the center, and I'm skinny now. I was like maybe a little less skinny then because I hadn't fully stretched out. But I was still like not like strong. So they put me in the center position, and then there's all these like big Shaq Diesel motherfuckers
boxing you out.
Yes, just like hurting me in the paint.
That's so funny.
Terrible. So
you're like a puppy with big paws, but no like no coordination.
Yeah, I didn't have the fight in me.
So how long did it until you gave up on basketball then?
Freshman year of high school, I went to tryouts.
Didn't make tryouts?
And they always viciously put the tryouts right the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're an athlete who really takes this shit seriously, you're watching how much you eat, and if you're not, then you're just doing the Thanksgiving thing and having like 3 or 4 helpings. Yeah. And then you get up early the next morning, like 8 in the morning, and go run suicides.
Yeah.
And, like 3 hours of that. They had like a break for lunch, and then you come back for the second tryout session. Yeah. And I went home, my feet hurt so bad, and I was like, you know what? Like I've been really fucking with this music shit anyway. And my dad, he was like, he was like, he understood, and also I just don't think I would have been able to keep up with playing ball and like having, not that I was that good, but like doing practices and stuff if I really wanted to take things seriously as I did from then on with music. And like we started like booking our own shows and like throwing stuff in the city and stuff, and just kind of getting people around. And
in high school.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tight. So when you tell your dad, okay, I'm done with basketball, I'm gonna put my brain into this music shit, was he like all hands on deck helping out?
Not at all. He the opposite. He kind of just like stood back, and he was like, I don't want to push you in this direction because I know how like painful this can be. I know how like you have to show me kind of. He didn't tell me this, but he was waiting to see that I had a certain amount of dedication to it, that I was not just doing it because it seemed like what he did, it's just like copying him.
Right.
So I think like it took a while, like he was also doing his own stuff, so he kind of let me do my thing. I got my little garage band, my Logic, whatever, and I started setting it up. I started bringing people over the house and like bring them down to the basement to record. And kind of like we had our own little crew of people that all came over and like laid down tracks and stuff. And just,
I mean, that sounds very solid on your dad's part. He sounds like a smart guy, because I really think like some of the best advice is like, don't ask for advice. If you don't have that passion to figure it out on your own, Like,
damn,
you know what I'm saying? Like, no one's going to do
Wow.
it for you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't deserve it if you can't figure it out on your own. Your dad already did that. He figured it out on his own. You know what I'm saying? So he's passing on that wisdom.
And also, he's from a different time,
Yeah.
too. I think the music industry is so different now than it was, you know, in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely.
So the advice that he could give me is only on, like, he gives me advice on more, like, spiritual and, like, moral things.
Right.
And, like,
He's like, look, son, when you get on American Bandstand, make sure the bell bottoms look crisp.
Nah, not even like that, but, you know, yeah, it was just important for me to blaze my own trail and also just like doing hip hop. You know, in the beginning, my music was a lot more like soul sample chop, like Kanye, early Kanye influence, Rockefeller era type of stuff. So that had its own kind of, and the blog scene was like flourishing at the time. So I had
when
my
a
own
Two
set
Dope
of
Boys post was like, you made it, you got a Two Dope Boys.
That was what it was. Like my senior year of high school, we got a Two Dope Boys post on this song that I did with my boy Thelonious Martin, who's a producer.
Oh yeah, I know who that is. I've not met him, but I know who Thelonious Martin is.
Well, we went to high school together.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, he made his like first beat in my basement.
Wow, that's sick.
We like built a sound together and like did a whole like project together, and Two Dope Boys carried it. And then at that moment, like everybody I knew was like, "Oh shit!"
Fools are like, "Congratulations!"
Yeah, which is silly now thinking in retrospect, but it did give me the inkling of hope that like, you know, this is resonating with somebody.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So how did you meet the original crew that like would come over to the basement and cook with you?
Just all people I went to high school with.
And how'd they find out that you like music or that you were trying to work on music? Like how does that conversation start?
I was always just the rapping ass dude. Like if there was a cypher after school, I feel like there's not cyphers after like high school anymore.
Oh, youngsters don't even know what cyphers are anymore.
They just do like ad lib ciphers.
Yeah.
This sounds really ageist. I fuck with all the new school shit as well.
Same.
But yeah, you know, it was like a scene out of Juice or something. You know, everybody's in their hoodies and their like bubble gooses outside. It's cold. People are beatboxing and stuff. And I was like hungry. You know, I wanted to prove myself. So there was this kid who was like the hot rapper at the school. It's like, all right, I want to try and have a better verse than him when we go to the studio. I want to try and do this, that, and the third. And, you know, just over time, people started to rock with me.
Nice. That kid grew up to be Kendrick Lamar. No, I'm just kidding. So were you coming into school every day with like a new 16? Like, yo, you guys got to hear this. Or were you just like freestyling?
There was a time when it was, you know, we used to go over. There was this one kid, Bobby Dukage. He was this kid. He was just like, you know, he was just like very wealthy, had like a dope crib, dope setup, had all the snacks, had the super dope studio setup. I think his dad was in sound.
He had the year 2000 snacks before they even came out.
Exactly.
Yeah, he sounds privileged. He's a super cool dude, but he would just have all these people over, just like always making songs. So it was almost like that was like the hangout spot, and it's probably like where I like first started smoking weed and shit. It's just like so much of like my tutelage as a rapper came from that. Shout out Bobby Dukage and his mansion, you know, the mini mansion. What you said it was Essex County? Is that where you're from?
Yeah.
What's the like demographics there? Is it a pretty diverse place?
It's definitely diverse. Like the town I'm from is one of the more like diverse places like on the East Coast, I think. Is also like very, very wealthy. You know, it's not all like that, but there's like a huge like
upper middle class.
Michael Strahan used to live there. Jason Kidd at one point. I think Stephen Colbert still lives there. So it was an interesting experience. You know, there's definitely a lot of privilege, but also it's like hyper liberal and like, you know, just a lot of things that I didn't realize the world was going to be like. I had to find out after I got out of that like super liberal bubble, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so what was high school like? High school's diverse as well. A lot of black kids, a lot of white kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
So did you have college plans after high school, or were you just like, I don't care about it?
When it came to college, my mom went to college. My mom is like a holistic doctor, and she was very big on me getting my education, and I was of the mind that I'm a rapper. I'm going to drop the hottest mixtape in the world. Like, I'm not going to college. That was my whole... I was very bullish and arrogant, and she was
no
like...
backup plan.
Yeah. If you're really serious about it, you don't have a plan B.
There you go.
Which was stupid. And she was like, no, you're going to college. And so we went back and forth on it a long time. And then a good friend of mine...
I ended up at Harvard. No.
A good friend of mine, this girl, Lindsay Lombard, shout out to her.
Shout out.
She's also in the music industry as well. She had a mom who was close friends with my mom, and she told her, well, like, NYU's doing this program and it's like free. And we were like, NYU's doing something and it's free? That's crazy. So I applied with Thelonious and with this girl Lindsay, and we all got into this program. where we would come into the city on Saturdays and learn about the music industry from this guy who used to A&R for like Lauryn Hill and stuff, and then the producer Illmind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they were like teaching it, and
Illmind was teaching it as well.
Yeah,
wow, that's sick.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So through that, I kind of got more of a look into the industry and saw that also like there was opportunities for me to go to school and still like learn about music. I didn't have to like be like a physics major.
Yeah, right. And so was that kind of a life changing or what?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Open my mind up.
What are some of the things you learned?
I mean, it'd be hard to say now. I was like 16 at the time, but I was also
you were young. Yeah,
but I was also introduced to like people who became like part of like my first manager was from that group. Like the producer who I did like pretty much all of Arcade with was from that group, who I like co-produced Tropicana with. Like I just saw him like last week, and we like just became like best friends basically after that. Just like a lot of people in there that I still see. One of them is like a big A&R now in LA. Like it's just like more than anything, it put me in a community of other people who were trying to do the same thing and let me see like, okay.
Yeah, so you got some early like lifelong connections of people that are going to help you be able to build your career in different ways.
Yeah.
And
And just like watching.
So you learned about networking.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not like a good networker. That's probably like my Achilles heel. You seem like you would be a good networker because you're good at conversation.
You would think that. I'm really good at small talk. I'm really bad at following up and ever maintaining a relationship. And also like I'm a fucking curmudgeonly son of a bitch. I hate everything. So like, no, networking's not my shit. Because I don't like schmoozing. I like conversing, but I don't like schmoozing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of networking is schmoozing. Fuck that.
Vapid, empty.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your mom, the holistic doctor. What does that entail? Like, when I hear holistic doctor, I'm thinking like, oh, you'll cure this with 2 green juices in a yoga session, but
not
like
quite like that.
She's like a real doctor, but
Well, she originally was like an emergency physician.
Okay.
And then she got sick for a little bit when I was a kid, and like so like it actually like it was really like scary at the time, but it worked out because like for most of like middle school and high school, she wasn't like working. She's all good now.
Yeah.
And during that time that she was kind of figuring that out and trying to heal herself, she got into like homeopathic medicine and holistic medicine, and she went and like studied both of those things and narrative medicine, and now she's kind of like just now actually like starting a second act and trying to get back into the medical field. It was really interesting because we were both kind of just like learning about new things at the same time, and she was like helping me get through school and stuff, and I was like, I got good grades, but it was like pulling teeth to get me to like stay on top of my shit.
How did that affect you as a kid? Did that kind of were you scared when she was sick?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really like, she kept me in the dark about it for a while. I didn't like really know everything that was going on. So I knew it was like pretty serious, but if I had known everything, it probably wouldn't have been good for me.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I just knew that like, she's not working right now because she's sick and she has to handle this, and like, this is what's going on.
But she didn't let you worry about it because you're a kid.
And she was good. She had like, what's the thing? Not leave, but,
PTO, paid time off, something like that?
Yeah, like in some kind of insurance plan that worked.
Oh yeah.
Like
nice.
I'm
it's okay.
missing the word.
Don't worry about it. So did that? I noticed you said your dad lives in Texas now. Did that affect their relationship?
Well, they were already divorced. At the
they were
time,
divorced.
So they split up when I was like 7.
Oh yeah. How was that?
It was fine.
Did you understand what was going on?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think I that happened, and then my cousin, who's like basically like my sister, like she lived with us for a little bit when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Her parents split like right after that, and my parents are like still pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And her parents, it was like more of a nasty split, so I never felt like I had the kind of.
You didn't get the shit end of the stick. You got.
I could never really take pity on myself, because I knew it could be a lot worse.
Well, and then with your cousin, you had a built-in support group. You guys are going kind of through the same thing.
A little bit, yeah. And then also they put me in like a group in elementary school for kids who were like children of divorce. I guess that's like how like crazy it is it's like a 50-50 chance. So they have all these kids who are growing up in single parent homes,
right?
So they put them all together, and just like listening to other people's experiences, like I've always kind of been a see everything from all perspectives type of person,
right?
So seeing how hard some other people had it, I was like, yo, like I got it good. Like I still have 2 parents in my life, they're just not together, and that's okay.
And they were working it out all right.
Yeah.
So did you spend time 50-50 with each of them?
I would go see my dad on weekends.
Oh yeah. And that's when you would get all the recording in, huh?
No, that's when he would go to gigs. Sometimes he'd bring me to the gigs, and then like
how's that as a kid? That seems like it would be dope.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like, he was working in like a wedding band at the time, so it wasn't like people were like throwing panties on the stage and stuff. It was more like he was like, we were at
so
like
much
weird
free
events.
cake though.
Lots of free food. Lots of waiting around during sound checks, hurting my ears from being right next to the speaker.
Yeah.
But then we like, sleep in the next day and just like play video games forever.
That's tight.
Yeah.
What video games did you grow up?
Madden, 2K.
Okay.
With my other friends like Halo and Call of Duty and stuff, but mostly sports games.
Nice.
I'm not good anymore. I haven't played Xbox in probably like a year.
Yeah, my only video game system is my phone. I can't keep a console in the house because I'm like too.
I can't even do games on the phone.
About it.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't, but.
You
we'll
gotta
make it work.
Yeah,
you make it work. You know what I'm saying? So you're 16 and you're traveling into the city to go to NYU and learn about the music industry. And at this point, Topaz Jones, that's not your given name. Yeah, that's like a nom de plume, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that nom de plume.
Yeah, that's a pen name. That's
okay.
That's very regal
that's cool.
sounding.
Yeah, I like
Use that.
It's going in a verse.
Yeah, please. Just shout me out. Had you already come up with that moniker?
Yeah.
And so that was that your first and only rap name, or have you had multiples?
I had terrible ones.
Did you have like some super lyrical ones?
Yeah.
What were they?
Oh, no, not super lyrical, just like ones that would be indicative of being like that type of rapper.
Yeah, of course.
I'm definitely not going to say
Look,
it right
my rap
now,
name was Intuition. It's still like that's like mad backpacker, you know what I'm saying? But I've had it for fucking 20 years. Yeah, so I'm not going to change it at this point, but like you got like just backpacker names like introspect, you feel me?
I had like rap names that were like combinations of like numbers and letters. It was just stupid.
Yeah, well, that's very popular now.
Yeah,
numbers
right.
and letters.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Change the A to a upside down or to a V or something. You know what I'm saying? Like add a 23 to the end, and now you're a SoundCloud star. But anyhow, so Topaz Jones, you already had that established. And when did you put out your first mixtape? Like, I'm sure there's like some CDR burnt joints out there.
Oh yeah, there's one that no one will ever find.
Yeah,
that was on my blog spot.
Yeah. How old were you when you put it out?
That was like, I think 16ish.
Did you hand it out to people in high school?
I had physical copies.
Yeah,
I didn't have that many, but I did them. It was like, maybe it was like 7 songs.
Yeah. What people at school say?
They were, I think they liked it. There was, it kind of just like fell flat. It was like the people who I knew liked it, and they knew I had like the potential. Like I was rapping good for my age.
Yeah, right.
And I had a couple of the other like rappers from the high school on it and stuff. And, it was cool. It was still like trying to figure out that I was singing my own hooks then. I was like before Drake. I was doing the Drake thing, and just kind of figuring it out. And then immediately after that, I was like, all right, wait, I need to like figure out what I actually need to be saying and stuff. And that's when I started working on this project called Hello, My Name Is, which I wish I didn't name it that.
Yeah,
that
Slim Shady.
Out. Yeah, right. When I was, I guess 18, like right when I was leaving high school, I put it out. That's when we got the Two Dope Boys post and stuff and all that. And that one was when people actually started to listen and pay attention. And like people were sending me like photos and videos of them like listening to it like on the beach that summer. And I was like, all right, so this is like people are rocking with this.
Do you like when you look back at your old projects, like the one that no one will ever find and Hello My Name Is, do you think you had found both your literal and figurative voice? Like had you found your voice in a literal sense where you rapped with the same voice that you rap with right now? Because that does change and evolve over time. And
I definitely sound way different now.
Yeah. But do you think you had found your figurative voice, as in like this is me and this is who I'm going to be on record for the rest of my life?
I think I thought I had found it.
Yeah.
But I was nowhere close.
Yeah.
And I still think I haven't found it yet.
I'm
I'm in the process. It's like it's not like it just flicks on a light switch. It's more like chiseling away at a block. Like you're a sculptor.
I feel that.
And you're trying to like get the edges right and get it to be perfectly like round at the top, and it's just
I like
it's
that.
A grind.
Yeah. I talk about Malcolm Gladwell a lot on my podcast because I feel like he's
Revisionist
fantastic.
history.
Yeah, shout out Revisionist history.
Yeah.
I was just shouting that out earlier. But he has this thing where he talked about in a book where there's some genius that is youthful, and then the rest of its life it goes downhill, and there's some genius that gets better with time, right? And so it seems like
I want to be that one.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's great to be able to continually master your craft and get better and better. And I think that on your journey, as long as you can look at your last record and go like, I don't like that anymore, I can do something better, then your art will continue to get better. You know what I'm saying? So it seems like that might be the path that you're on. Yeah,
definitely. It's not like and now it's like, it used to be like that. I don't like dislike my last album, I still like love all those songs, but now it's just like I'm just getting closer to finding that voice every time.
Yeah,
so
right.
I imagine that hopefully in like 10 years, I'll be really just then starting to really say the things that have been kind of burning inside of me this whole time.
Yeah, totally. Beyond the two Dope Boys post, like, do you feel like there was a moment around then where you're like, oh, this is working, this can be a thing? Like, did you have a big break around that time, or did it come later? I know that you haven't had a technical, like, the big break, like, you know, it doesn't feel like a big break, but
I mean, all things that like it got covered on a couple blogs, which was sick.
Did you play some shows?
You know, like in my area. And then when I went to school, like I had to sell tickets to be able to open up for this guy's studio at Webster Hall, which is like a very small venue.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling, like, I think I had to sell 50 tickets, and I sold all 50. And a lot of them were like high school friends. A lot of them were new people from college. But like, I get there and like he doesn't even have anybody there for the show. This guy, I'm not gonna say his name because that's messed up. But he was a super viral white rapper at the time who was like, you know, killing shit. And then I was the opener, and then I brought the whole party there. I had to like work my ass off and sell these tickets, and like this guy didn't even do anything, and he got the lion's share of the profits.
Well, so that's the pay to play model for lazy promoters.
I never did that.
If you're
again.
a promoter out here listening to this, stop doing pay to play. It's just lazy promotion. And that's the whole thing. They take advantage of young artists by saying, oh, here you can buy these 50 tickets off of us, and then essentially you're paying them $500 to play a show, and nobody shows up to those. That's kind of the
to be devil's advocate to that though. I think having those people there who were maybe just like friends who were supporting and having them see me do what I wanted to do and be, you know, decent at it probably like went a long way in terms of them taking me seriously. So shout out. Yeah,
that's fantastic. At the same time, you probably recognized very early that like you're not always going to be able to get those 50 friends there. Yeah, so you got to like work hard to get strangers listening,
100%,
right?
100%.
Yeah. So how did you go about starting to get some strangers to listen?
You know, I really just put it all into the music. I started working on what I thought was going to be my next album. I ended up like making like 2 or 3 versions of it, scrapping them all. Yeah. And then towards the, like about, I guess my junior year of college, I put out a project called The Honeymoon Suite, which is like my first like real project. Yeah. And that's like, you know, we got all like a lot of the like bigger blogs to cover it, and people started to pay attention to me, and, you know, also Thelonious at the same time was buzzing, so like that connection kind of became fruitful, and it was really just getting out there and playing a lot of shows. Like while I was in college, I played like every Brooklyn basement.
Did you end up at NYU?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
every like weird art gallery show that people did, like I was performing at all of them on shitty mics, like trying to like use like pure like performance energy to get people over.
So during that time, it seems like, you know, NY was maybe struggling a little bit to find its voice in the rap community. I mean, of course, you had the ASAP crew killing and shit, and you'd have your random one-offs like Bobby Shmurda and stuff like that. But like, was there a smaller art scene going on in the shows that you were playing, and like who were the kind of rappers that you were running into?
Definitely. I mean, you know, like the Rat King guys were around.
Oh yeah.
There's this dude, Solomon Fai, who I used to do a lot of shows with. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. It would I don't want to like leave anybody out.
Totally.
You know, there's a lot of really great artists in New York.
So you would be running into like a hip hop community at these shows, basically, like familiar faces and stuff.
Yeah, definitely, and like just like artists of all types too. Yeah. But it's like, you know, in New York, it's like everybody kind of has that I want to be my own island mentality. Yeah. And that's not their fault. It's kind of like a product of design, but. The community was hard to find for me, especially at least amongst other rappers. So I kind of just stayed to like people that I knew and either grew up with or was at school with.
Yeah. Why do you think the community was hard for you to find?
I think, well, you know, it was like people were either doing the ASAP thing or they were doing the Joey Badass thing. Yeah. And I was neither of those things.
Yeah, right. What were you?
I mean, I was like just kind of a less realized version of what I'm doing now. You know, it's like there was a little more like trying to suit myself to other people's needs. So it's like on that project I mentioned, it was like, okay, this is the song that's going to get like the Backpackers. This is the song that's going to get like the club hype. This is the song that's going to do this. And I don't make music like that anymore. I make music like, what do I have to say?
What do I feel?
And
what
do I feel? Like, holistically.
So you were constructing it at the time in hopes of like garnering fans and having music to play at shows, rather than like, oh, this is what this means everything to me.
Yeah, I think it's like you know, it's like the law of attraction, and I was like pushing. I was trying to push myself onto people, and then slowly I learned how to pull in instead.
Yeah. So when do the streaming numbers start picking up like they have?
Well, streaming
now?
wasn't even a thing,
right?
You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is it the last project Arcade that
Yeah. We put out I got through you know, just people knowing, this was after I graduated, but through people knowing that I was a good performer from just like going to school with me.
Yeah.
Like the Future played this show at the school, or it was at Terminal 5 actually, and
Yeah,
they had
right.
me open up for him.
Wow.
Which was a crazy experience, but also like people who like Future and people who like my music, there's a Venn diagram where that coexists, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a pure fit.
That slit in the middle is very
and also
small.
people come like really fucked up for a Future show, and they
Yeah.
weren't really trying to hear no funk shit. you
Yeah,
know?
right.
So it was a decent experience, but it kind of just, I was like, okay, we got this show, like we have to put a song out. So then I put a song out, did decently well. I was like, all right. And I've been working on this album now for mad long. You know, I was out of school. I was like working a shitty job. Yeah, then that song kind of did okay, and I was like, all right, we need to put another one out. So then we put out Tropicana, and that's really kind of where everything started. It's like the song just kind of naturally took off.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, I can't even like, it's, you know, whether you believe in like spiritual things or magic or whatever, there's something that was completely out of my control about that.
Yeah.
That just kind of, I lined up with the right energies at the right time.
Yeah, tell me. Well, so Tropicana, huge numbers, has a performance video that's up in the millions on Spotify. It's way up in the millions. It'll probably eventually break 10 million. So like, when you release that song, tell me about the process or kind of like the journey of a song like that. Does it catch on immediately and you feel vibes like, damn, this is doing good? Or does it take a few months? Or like, was there a turning point?
Well, first of all, I almost didn't put it out.
Why not?
Because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like dislike it, but I felt like it was going against the grain of everything that I was fighting for with the project.
Yeah.
I felt like I found the sound with the funk stuff, and then
Yeah.
this was like the one outlier. And I had a bunch of, like, I had the album set up. I had a 9-track album. I was very happy about my 9-track album.
Yeah.
I think, you know, less is more.
Right.
Quality over quantity. And I was going to make my rounds to play people the album. And every time, like just about every time I showed somebody the album, I would show it to them and then show them like 3 other songs I just had. Like, I was like, all right.
And
then
that
these
one
other
would come
songs.
on. People like, shit.
People are like, wait, what's that? You know,
Yeah.
they'd just be like, I'd see the eyebrows raised, like, oh.
Yeah.
And so, you know, eventually it was like, okay, we have to put this out. So I went back in on it and like added some chords to the hook and stuff and just a couple things to like make it more suited to my liking. And then now I love it. You know, it was like, it went from me like thinking of it as like this weird offshoot thing to it becoming like the centerpiece of what I've put out, you know.
What year was that? 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has that kind of like, it reminds me of like that Amine bump kind of bad thing. Like, you know, it has that stripped down sound of the mid 2000s that was like very bouncy and kind of like the vibe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like Outkast is like a huge influence for me, and like as well as like at the time, like I was bumping hella Nelly when I was growing up. Ja Rule, big Ja Rule fan. I like made my grandmother listen to the Pain Is Love album driving into the city one time, which is like kind of cruel. I think it was unedited.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. But yeah, you know, so I just tried to make the music that I wanted to hear and get the energy and the sound that I felt was like underrepresented at the time.
So that said, going back to the original question about Tropicana, was there some kind of like tipping point with it where like there was a certain post or a certain thing that made it like really catch on? Was it the Colors video? Or before that?
I mean, that definitely helped, but it was already like, you know, it was already in the millions before that. I think. It was a lot of things. You know, it's just like there was like this
just the
guy on
storm.
SoundCloud who reposted it, and then there was this blog that picked it up, and then like Pitchfork picked it up. And, you know, all of that kind of comes together.
I bet it probably made it like on the chill hip hop YouTube channels that have like a gazillion views.
Yeah, I'm not on Reddit like that, but I think it was on Reddit too.
Yeah. So it makes the front page of the internet. That's a good look. That's dope. And so after Tropicana, do like more doors start to open basically?
You know, it was a lot slower than that. But I think that Tropicana, and then I also had been working on this album. I was lucky. You know, every other point in my life, I had been kind of chasing my tail or like been behind the ball. You know, that's one thing I never want to do again is be chasing myself. I always want to have what I have to say like loaded up and locked and ready, and then just kind of feed it out.
Think 7 steps ahead like a chess game.
So I'm still getting better at that. But at the time, like I was lucky in that I had been working on this album for so long. Anyway, that when the song caught fire, I just had to finish the album. So then I spent like a couple more months like tightening it up, and you know, we put it out, and luckily like people really vibed with the album, you know. And I think that's where I kind of started to become like a little more legitimate, do more shows and get the college shows, which allowed me to, you know, like a year after that, I got a booking agent. I was able to finally quit my job that I got after that first job.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So it started working out. How, did you start touring and stuff?
I still haven't like really
officially toured.
Yeah.
But you like playing shows?
I love it.
What's your show setup like?
Today is
just the DJ.
Yeah. But in general, I have a full band.
Yeah. How do you know the band? Or like, are they homies?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like working. I'm starting to kind of like restructure, you know. I'm trying to figure out what the optimal version of it is, but shout out Jesse Broader from the band Crumb. He's the bass player who played with me since like 2016, and he actually hit me up right after Arcade came out, and he was like, yo, like if you ever need somebody to help you reproduce these sounds live, let me know. I can like get in touch with some musicians. So him and the guitarist from that band actually came to my band for a while.
Damn, that's dope.
And you know, I just kind of like filled in the rest with like people I knew from different things. And yeah, you know.
Yeah, sick.
It's really cool to play with a band. I enjoy it way more than playing
hard
by
to tour
myself.
with the band though.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of extra overhead that way.
Definitely. That's another thing that I'm trying to figure out is how to. We really want to get that show on the road because it's a special experience.
Mm-hmm. So your dad kind of seems like he perhaps warned you about the industry and was like, you know, tread light or be careful working with the music executives. But have you decided personally whether you're going to stay independent or look for a record deal? Like, is that something that you think about a lot?
It's not something I think about a lot. It was something I thought about a lot growing up. Yeah. I always felt like I was going to sign a record deal at 18 and be out of here.
It doesn't really work that way for most people.
Doesn't. I always felt like I was going to sign a record deal during college and then leave college.
You feel like, oh man, I got this mixtape in my hand. Like we're set. I'm lit. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't happen that way for most people. Some people
I mean, I don't think that record labels are evil. I just think they're antiquated. Yeah. So if I was gonna do something with a label, it would just have to fit what I need. Yeah. And you know, that's something that, you know, we'll cross that bridge if we have to. But right now, I'm very much enjoying my independence and being able to put things out when I want to put them out and be in control of my brand and everything.
Yeah, that's great, man. Speaking of putting things out, you just recently put out a bunch of new songs, Side A, Side B. Tell me about that, conceptualizing that and the release and the rollout.
You know, I was recognizing that it's a singles market and that people's attention spans are smaller, but I also always feel a need to kind of give like a really full view of myself within every song. And that's kind of like why a lot of them will have like real like switch ups in the hook or like do like different things just because I'm trying to like show like the full me. And I thought that maybe by breaking it into these like double-sided projects, this like A-side, B-side thing, I would be able to kind of give that full version of me without like having to make somebody listen to a full album, you know.
Right.
Maybe this, you know, more people would listen to just 2 songs by me than like 6 songs by me at this point. And I think, you know, for the most part, it was like a very successful experiment. People really got the point of it, and other people like started to put them out too. And it's not a new idea, you know. It's like comes from, you know, the early days of the recording history.
45, you know, like a song, a single on the front and the B-side on the back.
Yeah, and I just missed like the idea of like Prince had put out. Like I went into a record store like a month ago, and there was this B-side that I just never heard, you know, because it's just like, you know, it's how they used to put them out. Sometimes those wouldn't even end up on the albums. It's just like testing things.
And so you put one out in February, one out in March, one out in April. And I don't know, what's the response been like?
It's been great. I mean, a lot of people, their like favorite songs of mine have come from this, and that's encouraging because I hope to think that I'm always getting better. Yeah. And there's some of my favorite songs to have made. Like Toothache probably took us like a year to fully finish from start to finish. It started out as a cover, and then we kind of like worked it around. And you know, some of these songs are also like the last songs I recorded at the family home in Montclair before my mom sold it. Oh yeah. So it carries a lot of sentimental value too.
Yeah. What are you gonna do now that's gone?
I mean, you know, I have my place.
You know, so you got your own home studio set up.
Yeah, it's like, you know, moderate, and then there's a studio like not too far from here that I work out of.
Yeah, damn. How's that? The home studio getting sold? Was that heartbreaking or what?
I mean, it wasn't like I was never working in my dad's studio, because they had split, so he took all the stuff with him. So I was just like, when I say like I recorded at there, I mean like
bedroom productions.
Yeah, I was just sitting there with a USB mic.
Okay, yeah.
And like there's, you know, like a piano part somewhere that's played on like my grandmother's piano.
Oh yeah.
And like little things like that, you know, I'll miss having that place to go to.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, totally. You worked with one of my homies, Pell.
Yeah, it's a homie.
Yeah, how'd you meet Pell?
It's funny. So the producer that I worked on All of Arcade with, Daniel Launer, he has a band called Late Night Episode. Yeah. And his girlfriend worked at this jewelry store that Pell happened to wander into. And she told him that, you know, her boyfriend was a producer or whatever. And he was, I think he was working at SOBs at the time, so he was maybe going to book Pell for a show. And then he just came through the crib that we were both living in. We had like 5 people in the 3-bedroom at the time, like doing the whole artist thing.
Yeah.
And he came through and we just kind of vibed out and made that song. You know, it was a long time in the making, but
no shit.
Yeah, great dude.
Yeah, how serendipitous.
Yeah, very.
That's fantastic.
Very.
So what are you working on now?
Right now I'm working on an album.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going good. It's like both like the most fulfilling and enjoyable, and also the most like nerve-wracking and stressful experience of my life. Probably.
It's scary looking at the blank page.
Yeah, you know, just like I really want to make something that's deliberate and with intention, and really show people, you know, the vision behind what I'm doing. And so with that, I'm taking my time and really trying to be thoughtful about everything and get the details right. And that's the part that I'm banging my head against the wall.
Well, so that being said, being so intentional with the project and wanting to be so thoughtful with it, do you find yourself overthinking about it?
Oh, chronically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
The worst.
It's terrible.
It sucks. I mean, you know, I would love to just like, I don't know, maybe I need to like microdose acid for the next month and figure it out. But
we are not condoning that as a corporation, but if you guys need to, feel free.
My bad.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
But yeah, you know, I think for me, it's like I said before, like I think about all angles.
Yeah.
And so I'll devil's advocate myself to death.
It's hard being a very self-aware artist.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes
it's great,
sometimes a lot of hubris, sometimes hubris goes a long way. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, I don't give a fuck, like this shit is dope. You know what I mean? But if you start overthinking, like, is this dope?
A little Kanye is healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. A little Kanye, a little Kid Cudi, like them dudes are confident as fuck, you know? And when you hear those footsteps, like of like, I don't know, is this right? Is this right? Yeah, it's hard.
But it's different questions now. It's not like in the past, like those voices in my head were more like, why don't you make a song like this person? Like, why don't you? Oh, you're not being turned up enough. You need something you need some trap shit.
Yeah.
And I don't like worry about that shit anymore. It's more just like, is this as good as like how does this compare to Stevie Wonder, which was like a pointless thing to do. It was stupid.
So that said, I mean, one of the takeaways that I got from this interview is that your biggest song was the one that you were like, I don't fucking like this, and this isn't me. Do you ever worry about that? Sometimes the best songs come from that like they happen in 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, this is just some bullshit, and then they're fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So
I think it was more of a thing that I knew it could be better than what it was at the time, and once I fixed the things I didn't like about it, then I knew it was a great song.
Okay,
you know? And also, I'm lucky to have people around me who keep it, you know, 100% funky. So, not to be, you know, no pun intended, but they like really
that
keep it real.
That pun was intentional. Get out of
It
here.
really wasn't.
Yeah, no.
But they, you know, they tell me when they're feeling stuff, when they're not feeling stuff, and I know when to, you know, agree and when to ignore it. Usually, when everybody fucks with a song, that's when I know it's like, okay. Yeah. But you know, everybody's got opinions.
Yeah, totally, man.
Everybody wants me to go a different direction. You know, I just kind of follow the map that I'm making.
Do you have a working title picked out, or
no? Don't do
no
this
spoilers. I'm okay. Good. I'm just making sure. Because we don't know when this is gonna come out. Yeah. You got some visuals coming up though.
Yeah.
They'll be out by the time this comes out. So
yeah, probably.
Yeah, tell me about them.
We did the Toothache video with Rubber Band, who have directed all my videos. They were also living at that same crib that Pell came through to.
Okay.
It's just like really dope. It does the same thing I think that the music does, which is try to fuse all things retro and futuristic together, you know. And it's hard to make something that's funk inspired that doesn't feel like period piecey and shticky, you know.
Absolutely.
And this is not a shtick. This is like taking the best elements that I really like about that era and kind of bringing them forward, you know, carrying them forward into a different generation.
Hell yeah, man. That seems like a good idea to me.
Where?
You know, carry that torch. That said, I think we did what we came to do.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, man.
Tell the people where they can find you online.
At Topaz Jones on everything.
Everything.
TopazJones.com.
Is Jones with a Z or an S?
That's what it asks. Yeah.
Okay, but the Topaz is with a Z.
Yeah. I used to tell people my uncle was Quincy Jones. That's not true.
That's not true.
Not true.
Yeah.
I met him though. He was sick.
How was it?
It was cool. It was like very brief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's cool.
They tell you don't meet your legends, you know. Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. There's a couple I don't want to meet.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Well, guys, find Topaz Jones on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Spotify. It's very easy to search for. He's got a name that's very SEO friendly, so if you just Google it, it'll show up.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, there you go. That was smart. You were forethought. That said, my name is Lee. Some of you guys might know me as Intuition. You can follow me on Twitter at it'sintuition.
I gotta hear some bars.
Oh,
not right now.
You don't want it with the. You don't want it with Hove. No. But yeah, follow Skullcandy at Skullcandy, and make sure to listen after the podcast for a discount code. And this was Topaz Jones. I'm Lee, and this was You Feel Me. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to You Feel Me. If you want to hear more, go to skullcandy.com/music. Want a pair of headphones like the ones we used for today's episode? As a special thanks to our listeners, we're giving you 30% off your next Skullcandy order with the promo code MUSICYOUCANFEEL. That's MUSICYOUCANFEEL. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app now to stay up to date on our latest episodes.